All right, JHK here for the AllStar, and joining me right now is UFC flyweight contender Kai Kara France. Kai, like I said earlier, man, it's been too damn long, man. How has life been treating you?
I'm good, man. It's good to see you. Your life's been treating me well. Bit of a layoff at the moment. Time away from the ring and from the cage, but that's been out of my control. So I've enjoyed being home and been spending a lot of time with my partner and my son and my family. So it's been a nice time away, but now it's time to get back in there. So I'm excited for this one. I've been working hard, so yeah, I'm keen to get back in there.
Definitely. Fatherhood, man. How has that been, and how has that changed you?
Yeah, it hasn't really changed me too much. It's just given me I guess, a stronger sense of purpose and putting food on the table for my family now and providing for them is definitely a massive, I guess, motivator for me. And just having a little mini me that just soaks in everything and hitting all his milestones and just seeing his journey. It's just put everything into perspective, and I'm so blessed to be able to do what I do and let him grow up and see what his dad does. So yeah, it's been awesome being a father and recently got married as well. So another tick on the bucket list. But it's an exciting time. But it's been more than enough time away from the cage. So I'm excited to get in there and fight in front of a crowd, and my family will be with me over there. So the thing about New Zealand at the moment, there's still restrictions into coming and going. So I don't want to be uncertain and in limbo of when I'm going to see my family next. So I'm just going to pack up and bring them with me. So that's an exciting adventure for us. And it's just going to be a cool new journey for us. And when New Zealand's borders open back up, then we can come back home.
For sure. Well, congratulations on the marriage and the baby.
Thank you.
And man, life is can change so fast, man. But it's all
Yeah.
for the good. Now, New Zealand,
Yeah.
you and your teammates have talked about it. Leaving and coming out of the, I guess leaving the country and coming back has been something that has been
Mm.
a hurdle for everybody. But
Yeah.
in New Zealand, how is the climate? How is the movement? How is the restrictions and regulations?
So we're coming to, I guess, the end of all this restrictions. It's got to do with mandating vaccines. So pretty much like the rest of the world, if you have a vaccine and you're double vaxxed and you have negative COVID tests, then you're free to do whatever you want. But the last stage of that is opening up the borders. So New Zealand was one of the best at the elimination strategy, which was to eliminate COVID, but this Delta strain pretty much stopped that strategy, and then New Zealand government had to come up with pretty much living with COVID, but everyone had to get vaccinated. So we're nearly at 90% in New Zealand for vaccines. So the government has pretty much said it was 14-day quarantine when you came back into New Zealand. So now it's 7 days. So they've halved that. And then we're expecting by probably January next year that they'll just let everyone self-isolate at home. So you won't have to book a hotel, which is what the delay was. So there was only a certain amount of rooms, and there was over like 30,000 people trying to get back into the country. So let's say they dropped 3,000 rooms a week. It's like a lottery to try get one of those rooms. So if we can all self-isolate at home, coming back, double vax, negative COVID test, then that's going to make us come back and forth freely, so we won't be restricted, and we can just get on with our lives and get back to doing what we love, which is fighting and representing New Zealand. So, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and hopefully I won't be stuck overseas for too long. Expecting end of Jan, and then I can come back. So we'll be over there for Christmas and New Year's, but that's something new and exciting. And outside of New Zealand, everywhere's open. So after this fight we can go traveling and go to wherever we want to go. So we'll be stateside and soak up all the new. We've been stuck in our house, bro, for the last 100 days. So I think that's how many days we've been in this lockdown, and especially in Auckland, in my city. So it's been very difficult this camp, I guess, adapting and doing what we can under all these restrictions. But I'm happy with this camp. I'm glad that I had a little bubble that we could train with, and I'm excited to see what Cody brings to the matchup, and because I know I've been putting in work.
So nobody in the bushes taking pictures. How wild was that? Seeing that in the news when Dan was getting ready for his fight.
Yeah. It was pretty crazy. The extent that people would go to try to sabotage someone's livelihood. Like everyone's in the same boat. Why does a journalist feel like they need to go out of their way to make it hard on an athlete or someone that's just trying to make a living? And it wasn't really breaking any any rules, where he was training in his own gym by himself. Like, it's just at that time New Zealand was in a weird place where everyone was on edge, and everyone just the uncertainties of how long we'd be in this lockdown. That was at the height of it. So now I guess everyone's just kind of over it and over this whole restriction. So they're just living day by day and just trying to get through it. There's no need to all sabotage each other. If someone wants to do something, we're all in the same boat. So yeah, it was awesome to see Dan, get that win and get to fight week before the obstacles he had to go through. He had to get a visa, which was delayed, so he had to get on Twitter and get some traction and help speed up that process. And thankfully caught his flight. He got his visa, caught his flight, flew in on the Thursday night, made weight on the Friday, did his media like a true champ, and then made put on a clinic, and then won by pretty easily against a quality prospect and quality fighter. And then took a fight on a month's notice against, a tough Russian, Islam Makhachev. He's definitely one of the guys to watch out for. And, just different game plans. And it was a bit too early on, but that's just the fight game. Dan's a vet. He's been in this long enough where there's a lot of highs, a lot of lows, but you just got to push through. And now, I just saw he made featherweight, and he's reinventing himself down there, going back down to feather. So he seems like he made it quite easy from talking with Geordie, the fight dietitian. He said there was no struggles, and he looked good. So I guess that's Dan's next step, is to go back down and try chase the belt down there, which should be interesting because Alex is the title holder. So I don't know how that will play out. You got to ask Dan to see what he would do.
Well, there's a lot of exciting matchups, man, for Dan. And I was thinking, why don't you just throw Dan in there with the Korean Zombie first fight at featherweight back there? That would be crazy.
Yeah, that would be a good fight. And do that with a crowd, man. You need to. Don't do it at the Apex. That needs to be with a crowd or some sort of hype behind it. Maybe when New Zealand or Australia opens up, let's do it back home. That would be awesome.
Definitely. Main event in Auckland would be insane. Now, Cody Garbrandt, man, what does this opportunity mean to you?
This fight's massive. This is my biggest fight of my career. But I haven't been putting, pressure on myself. I've just been sticking to what I can control and just doing what I can and ticking all the boxes. This camp I've really gone over everything, making sure that when I step when I get on that plane heading over to Vegas, I'm confident in myself, and I know I couldn't have done anything more. So that's the kind of mindset I've had for this camp, just adapting, putting myself through the gauntlet of all the tough positions and all the hard rounds and getting into that uncomfortable territory and just making it home. So It's all the same for me. I've made flyweight a few times now in the UFC. This will be my 8th appearance. But for Cody, this is his first time at flyweight, so a lot of questions to be answered, a lot of what ifs, a lot of how is he going to cope with the weight cut, how is he going to rehydrate, how is his body going to handle taking damage at the lighter weight class. If you've looked at TJ Dillashaw as a blueprint of how to cut down a weight class, it went horribly wrong and ended up being the worst decision because you're not as durable at that lighter weight class. You're taking more water away from your brain, which ultimately means you're going to be a bit more prone to getting rocked and hurt. And for Cody, he hasn't had the best outings in his last few fights. His last fight, he did surprise a lot of people, going the distance, Rob Font, and lasted 5 rounds. But before that, he did get clipped in exciting fights. He's never been in a boring fight, so he's always going to lay it on the line. But he's come off second best. It's just stylistically, you can't change a fighter when they've been around for so long. They're going to keep doing what they've always done. When they're hurt, that's their default. Go back to swinging or whatever it is you do when you're hurt. And he's trying to reinvent himself at this flyweight division. So for me, this is a title fight eliminator. I get past Cody. When I get past Cody, I'll have a rematch against Brandon Moreno for the flyweight title. So that's how I see it. That's what's motivated me because I know I'm right there. I'm right there with the best guys in the world. And I've just got to turn up and execute our game plan and get a big win in front of a massive crowd. One of the biggest pay-per-views for the year, UFC 269. So that's what I plan on doing. And, he had his time. He was the face of the UFC back in 2016, 2017. But now it's my time. So, I can't wait.
Do you feel like Garbrandt, he rose up too fast in a way? You know what I mean? To where he didn't go through those hard fights and it's affecting him now?
Yeah, you could say that. But it's the evolution of the game, If you don't evolve with it, you're going to get left behind. And with his style, it's so exciting and so aggressive. You can come off second best, and that's just what happens. And I guess he didn't adapt and learn from those losses. But that's the fight game. It can change so quickly, and you could be at the top at one point, and then come off a few losses, and everyone's saying, "Oh, he's on his way out." But you can always reinvent yourself. Look at the lightweight champ, Oliveira. He was a guy that was kind of mid-tier. He's got one of them. He does have the most submission wins and bonuses in the UFC, but for a long time he wasn't really a sought-out fighter. No one really saw him as a title holder or title contender, and now he's got the belt. So it's just the way you approach the game. You got to always evolve and keep learning, and that's what we do best at City Kickboxing. We know what our strengths are, but that doesn't mean we neglect our weaknesses and we don't develop that as well. So we want to be well-rounded, and we want to be always adapting and bringing in new techniques and strategies to train, and that's what we've been doing. So that's what I mean when I say it's just a different time from when he was the champ to when he is now. Peter Yan at 135 is a different beast. He's lethal and just dangerous everywhere. His fight against Corey was crazy, and he's definitely the champ. Him and Aljamain Sterling, that fight was only going one way, and that was Peter winning. The only way Sterling was going to win that was the way he did, which was by default. So I think Peter's going to be a champ for a long time.
Now, when you envision this fight, man, I envision just complete chaos. I think that's what a lot of people think is going to happen. What do you see?
I guess my prediction for this fight is, we're going to meet in the middle. I want to test his cardio. I want to push him and make him feel the weight cut. So for me, I'm just gonna just do a normal flyweight fight where we're going to be scrambling right from the get go. Stand up to scrambling to back on our feet, and then see what Cody's going to do. If he's going to counter and sit back, or is he going to come forward and try blow me out the water? We'll be ready for either way what he tries to do. But for me, I'm just going to be focusing on what we've been doing in our fight camp with Eugene. You know, he's one of the best at coming up with game plans and watching fight footage and breaking down his our opponents and really focusing on tendencies and habits that they do. So we'll be exploiting that, and eventually I'll put him away. I can see myself walking him down, and landing a heavy shot, and then just that's the beginning of the end. So I'm excited for this one. You know, it's a fan favorite fight. You know, both guys like to come forward. We've both got knockouts on our records. You know, he's trying to bringing this excitement into the flyweight division, and I'm welcoming it there. Welcoming it. The UFC, you know, gave me this fight because they see, I guess, me as a exciting, you know, flyweight fighter, and for him, you know, former champ. And we're going to be on the main card as well for a big card for UFC 269. So we want to capitalize that, and we want to make sure people remember the flyweights. And this will be the start of my title reign. So get past Cody, and then 2022 is going to be a massive year for me. So I want to stay active. I want to stay busy. You know, my last fight was in March, so a bit of time away, but now we've got a clear path of where we need to go, and I'm so close to the title. So I'm focused. I'm ready, and I can't wait to get in there.
With comparing your run in the UFC to his, you know, you've been hurt in a fight and come back and finish the fight. I don't think Garbrandt has gone through that type of fire. Do you feel like that is the difference maker?
Yeah, I guess experience is a massive factor in these big fights. You can always draw from previous times where it wasn't going to plan, and you just have to adapt and push through it and move forward. But you know, he's had a massive experience as well, being in title fights with a lot of pressure and a lot of hype surrounding the future for his career. So I know he would have learned from those outings and those mistakes. That's why I've put a lot of respect on Cody, and I made sure that I'm ticking all the boxes. You know, people saying, you know, he's got no chin now, he's going to be on his way out, but you know, he was a champ for a reason, and he's going to be experienced, and he's going to be crafty, and he's going to be fast. You know, he was one of the fastest, if not the fastest, bantamweight, and dropping down to flyweight, he's still going to carry that speed. But at flyweight, everyone's fast. You know, we don't carry too much weight, so you know, 1 or 2 seconds in a position, and then it's already back on our feet, or we're transitioning into something else. So it's just the way you have to train. It's just a lot different, and that's what excites me. I want to see the best Cody. I want to see what he's bringing to the table, and I want to put a former champ on my resume. So it's going to be crazy fighting in front of a crowd again. You know, my last fight in front of a crowd was UFC Auckland maybe 2 years ago. I miss that feeling. You know, it's not the same fighting in a studio at the Apex. It feels like it doesn't do the fights justice, especially the last few fights that have been happening. You know, the Max and the Yair Rodriguez fight was crazy. The Gagey and Chandler fight was in front of a crowd, which was one of the best fights of the year. And then the Peter Yan and Corey Sandhagen was in a crowd as well. So I'm glad I'm back in front of a crowd for this one, and I'm excited to hear that roar and feel that energy and feed off it, and then get a highlight reel in front of everyone.
For sure. PTSD in combat sports from injuries, losses, and even damage taken in fights. Does that exist amongst fighters in MMA?
I guess, yeah, it definitely would. But with the kind of sport that we do, you have to have tough skin, and you have to be able to block that out. And I guess, face your fears and work on that outside of your fights. So for me, when I take a loss or I have an injury or something that's going to give me a bit of adversity, you got to look outwards and find that help that you need to get over that hurdle. And for us, we work a lot with sports psychologists. David Neath is my sports psychologist that we work with. Works with a lot of high performance athletes, and we channel into mental blocks and I guess challenges that you're going to be faced in your sporting career, and then that can transition into everyday life. So it's a great tool to have and a great mentor to have, especially getting that 1% out of our training camps and really zoning in and doing what we can to stay present and not be, I guess, clouded by external factors. Once you're in the cage, it's just you and the other guy. So you don't have to put pressure on yourself and be worrying about other things. It's just staying mindful and being in that moment. And then also bringing in a breathing coach has been a massive help to deal with those sort of obstacles as well. It's all transitions into everything. Being mindful, learning how to breathe, and then performing at your best. So we've brought in our breathing coach, David Wood. He's another massive asset to our team. And this is just taking our game to that next level, being so aware of your whole body and in between the rounds, you only have a minute to recover. So if you're not maximizing that, you're going to be at a disadvantage. So we've integrated his trainings into our city kickboxing system, and working with him has been a game changer. Being able to stay relaxed and stay calm in all these stressful situations and really zone in and just staying present and not hyperventilating or getting overwhelmed when you're in those hard fights or in hard sparring, and recalibrating yourself and resetting every round, and in between all that fireworks and the live and those intense moments, you're staying calculated, and you're staying, I guess, not in the heat of emotion, and you're taking that out of it, and you're just staying in it. So it's been a massive help for me and my camps, and taking my game to the next level. But that's what we do at City Kickboxing. Like I said at the start, always adapting, always evolving with the sport, and bringing in new coaches and new ideas to add to our game. So that's why I'm 100% confident in myself coming into this fight.
All right. One last question. This is an open-ended question. Outside of combat sports, outside of MMA and training and everything, what keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up?
Mm-hmm.
What keeps me up is, I guess, I was going to say my son crying. No, but I guess what keeps me up at night is just trying to be a better person, not just as a fighter or a training partner, but a better father, a better son, a better brother. Just trying to do better. So never satisfied with what you have, and never complacent of what you have. I want to always strive to do better. And I've been reading one of my role models that I've always looked up to. His name's Sonny Bill Williams. He's a famous rugby player, if you know of him. So he's crossed over into 3 codes. So he played rugby league, and then he crossed over to rugby union, and then he was also a boxer. So probably New Zealand's best athlete, just a super freak athlete. So reading his book really inspired me. Just the journey that he went through, and to make it into the highest level of all 3 sports. Won a premiership when he was 18 playing rugby league. Then went to rugby union, became an All Black, won 2 World Cups, and then won it for his club team, won their title, and then won a New Zealand boxing heavyweight championship and is 7-0 undefeated. So to do that in all 3 codes at the highest level, that's a massive inspiration. And he's also Pacific Islander and Māori. So, being Māori myself and having someone that's, was never satisfied and never, they always strive to do better. We have the same strength coach, Coach Sun. So, it's cool to see his work ethic and his attitude towards training and what he did to get to that next level. And it was just his attitude and doing that 1% extra and just being accountable for everything. And, never being like, okay, cool, I've made it now. I can relax and just be content of what I've done. It's like, no, I want a new challenge. I want a new obstacle. And for me, I can really resonate with that kind of attitude and that kind of lifestyle where you're always trying to better yourself. You're always trying to push the boundaries and seeing how far you can take things. So I guess that's what keeps me up at night, seeing how much more I can do the next day, how many goals I can tick off, how many things I can do the next day. And then when you go to bed the next night, you can hit the pillow and know you've done exactly everything you wanted to do and you didn't waste any time. So, yeah, that's what I like to do.
December 11th, UFC 269, Mayhem is upon us. Kai, appreciate the time, man. Huge opportunity. Love to see you being in the spot. Let's do it.
Thank you, bro. I always appreciate the time and the support, and always good to catch up.